So a lot of stuff went down today in the National Hockey League in terms of the offseason, guys signing places, trades happening, and the San Jose Sharks brought aboard 4 new players, 2 of which are actually familiar faces with the Sharks. And I think these guys will significantly help our team. You know, we got a new goalie, we got guys that'll help out our bottom 6, and yeah, so let's get into it. So the Sharks signed Carolina Hurricanes goaltender James Reimer, and he's actually a familiar face with the team. Reimer was on the team during the Stanley Cup season that we, unfortunately lost, but it was the 2015-16 season. He didn't play that much during that year, but since then he has, and he's been with Florida and Carolina since then. He was really good last year, actually. I mean, he was 15-5. He had a .906 save percentage, and this guy's entire career, he hasn't had save percentage under 900. So very consistent. I think a generally good goaltender, and the fact that we have Adin Hill on the team now, I think that's a pretty good goaltender tandem. So I'm pretty happy with that. I didn't really see it coming, but I'm really happy. It's a 2-year contract, and I think a lot of people are kind of jokingly saying, they're very smart to just do 2 years, because the last time the Sharks gave a goaltender a long-term contract, Martin Jones, it didn't work out. So yeah, really good contract. I think financial terms were not disclosed yet. So pretty good. But I think this guy has experience, being with Carolina. They obviously had other goalies too, but he was definitely played a good role with them. I mean, 15-5, that's a good amount of playing time. So I think that's really good. Doug Wilson, the Sharks front office, and all of them, they said he's an exceptional goaltender, experienced, and they know him well. He played in San Jose before, obviously. Only 8 games during that Stanley Cup run, but I think with the addition of Adin Hill, he's gonna help the Sharks do better. I think having 2 goalies like that you can trust is really important, and that's something the Sharks didn't have last year. So I think that's really important. I'm happy with it overall, and I hope it works out. He appeared in 22 games in 2021. 15-5-2 was his official record. His goals against average was 2.66, .906 save percentage, so not terrible. 2 seasons with Carolina. So yeah, I think he's pretty good. He's been in the league for 11 years. He's got experience, and I think he should be a good replacement for Jones. I'm crossing my fingers. It's hard to tell because you can't really tell with goaltenders sometimes. It's hit or miss, it seems a lot. But he's played 385 career games, and we'll see what happens. So that's the first one, James Reimer, signing from the Carolina Hurricanes. Now the next one is another familiar face, Nick Bonino. Bonino was on the Sharks for a brief period, and he has pretty good experience. A pretty well-known player. He was actually drafted by the Sharks, I believe, but traded, and there was kind of this confusing situation with the Sharks. So he's a pretty proven veteran center, and that's what Doug Wilson said. I think he's pretty good. He's 33, obviously. He spent last season with the Wild, picking up 26 points, 10 goals, and 16 assists. So he's very present out there on the ice. 55 games total, and he was tied for 6th on the team, and he was pretty good on that. It was in 12 seasons with the Ducks, Canucks, Pittsburgh Penguins, Predators, and then obviously Minnesota as of late. He won a Stanley Cup with Pittsburgh, so pretty interesting. He's been in the Stanley Cup playoffs 10 of 12 seasons, so he's got a lot of experience. And I mean, I'm pretty happy with this. I think he's definitely a proven player, and that's something the Sharks need. We need veteran presence, right? Because we have a lot of young good players, but we need guys that really can step up. And like I said, it's kind of funny because he actually was with the Sharks organization. He was drafted by the Sharks in the 6th round of the 2007 draft, 173rd overall, but very short-lived career with the Sharks because there was trades involved. He was eventually dealt to the Ducks. I think this is a really good signing. He signed a 2-year, $3 million contract for the Sharks, and I think this is a pretty good signing, pretty solid. Now the next one was from the Dallas Stars, Andrew Cogliano. So this was a pretty good signing, I think, as well. I mean, this guy has experience, clearly. He's been in the league a long time. And it's a 1 year contract, so hopefully, it'll pay off. He entered free agency with, the intent of leaving, I heard, and, I think, he's a veteran, obviously, 34 years of age. He's a 15-year NHL vet. He played for the Oilers, Ducks, and then obviously, as of recently, the Dallas Stars for the past 3 seasons. So he did appear in that Stanley Cup against the Lightning. He was more of a fourth liner for the Stars. Not really a big scorer. I mean, he had 5 goals last year, 6 assists, and he played 54 of the 56 games last year. But he's a really good defensive forward, good penalty killer, and that's something the Sharks need. I mean, they allowed a lot of goals during power plays last year, and so I think that's something that will fit the Sharks well. I think he's not the greatest finisher, but I think, he's kind of a good defender, and I just think he's durable. He's kind of that Iron Man, kind of like Patrick Marleau type player. Obviously not to the legacy of him, but he's still pretty good. So I think this is a good signing. It's a 1 year contract, so nothing too risky, and I'm liking Cogliano. So far it's James Reimer, Nick Bonino, and Cogliano. Now, the last one was a pretty tiny trade. Lane Pederson, a guy I've never actually heard of. He played in 15 games in his career with the Coyotes and scored 1 goal last season and 2 assists. The Sharks traded a 4th-round pick in 2022 to the Yotes, or 2024 4th-round pick for Lane Pederson. He's a center, and, I think it's a decent pickup. I mean, he's 24, so he's very young. And I mean, 1 goal in his career, it's hard to tell if he's, a good player or not. But he was in the AHL a little bit. He appeared in 16 games for them. He went undrafted, so, he's not like the biggest, name, obviously. And we've made some good, transactions with the Coyotes, obviously getting Aiden Hill. So I think, it's just a small little trade, but the main pickups were, obviously the ones I mentioned, and I think the biggest one, honestly, is Reimer, because he was good last year. We need goaltending, and so let me know your thoughts on these additions. I'm pretty happy. I think we'll probably see more, so we'll see what happens, and see you guys later. Go Sharks.